Bienvenidos and welcome to all the fairy folk. This is Crossbite and today we're going to be making a flower crown. You could use this for any kind of braided looking crown. I'm going to give you some tips on how to add some flowery bits to it, but obviously, as always, make it your own. And before we get into that, I wanted to make sure I had a cute little pixie girl to be wearing this flower crown, so I'm going to give you a quick little extra bit here on how to make your character a little cutie. So I've got obviously kind of a standard height, standard size character here. I'm going to go ahead and bring the hand size downward, the shoulder broadness way out, and the arm length way in. I'm going to put the leg length about half. And I'm going to adjust the neck length just a little bit, and that's mostly because she's got kind of that turtleneck dress going on. The head's going to be real big. We don't want it like chibi size, but we want it to have a big head. Gonna bring down the waist, and the shortness goes all the way. So boom, you got a tiny little character. She got some cute little features, and I think she's gonna be perfect to wear our flower crown that we're about to create. So let's get to that. So obviously, as always, when we're creating these kind of accessories, a new freehand group. And we're going to pull that up. And if you've watched my Halo tutorial video, this is going to start out the same. I'm going to basically create a big circle around the top of the head. And boop, I don't want to mirror it. I always seem to do that. Make a nice loop. The cleaner your loop looks, the better to start with. Mine never come out right to start with. I always have to go in and adjust, but pretty good for what we're doing here. So I'm going to tweak it just a little bit. There we go, just to make it a little more rounded around the head, and pull it up just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to have it fairly round. Not 100% symmetrical is necessary. As usual, I like to pull up my curve to be totally straight, and that kind of gives us just a big chunky piece to work with. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And I'm just trying to make it look really cylindrical, almost like a floating band-aid, I guess, is how we would have this looking right now. My one gripe with VRoid is that you can't really make cylindrical shapes with the hair, but I'm not sure that they actually intended hair to be used in this way, so I suppose it's okay, and maybe we'll get some better accessory and customization options in the future. So I'm bringing my two ends in. They meet pretty seamlessly, which is good. I'm going to bring my width and thickness in a lot, and it's kind of looking like a halo, but we're going to add that twist. Crank the twist all the way up, and that's going to give us our first part of the crown. So now that I have it looking the way I want, I'm going to bring it all down. It's a little more difficult to build it right on the head. You can obviously do that, but personally I end up grabbing the actual hair on the head when I try to do that. So we're going to clone that, and we're going to offset the X position just a little bit, and there we go. That is really the basic idea of this flower crown. I'm going to adjust the colors because my little pixie girl is very brown, and we want to have some foresty tones, so greens and browns are in order, I would say. Obviously, make it what you need it for, so if you need different colors, choose those colors. We're going to go with those earth tones. And once we're through with that, we can kind of add some flowery bits, and there's a couple different ways to add flowery bits. If you want, you could just create a third clone of that, another clone, and change the color and just offset it slightly. You could do that. I'm going to get a little, I don't want to say more detailed, but a very, very different approach to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new hair, just as I have in the past. And that's way wonky, but it's alright. We'll make it work. I'm going to make it white. Let's try one more time. There we go. And apparently I've got residual spots from a different project I was working on. Not a problem. Well, let's go ahead and clean those up real quick. So max out the width, color all that in. Alright. And you could obviously put different colors for your flowers, because these are truly going to be your little flowery bits. I don't necessarily have a good recommendation for technique, because every flower is different depending on daisies or daffodils or roses, but mine are just going to be little petals kind of poking out for this one. So I'm really just cutting this up into chunks, and I'm not doing anything fancy or special, just literally deleting what I don't want, cutting it up into chunks. You could color in bits if you want to add more bits, that's up to you. But now that I've got my white chunks, kind of make sure that they somewhat align with the rest of the crown that I want. You could also create a separate freehand group if you want to have these more adjustable and not conforming so much with the braided part. And as always, I grabbed the wrong adjustment points because that's just how I roll. Alright, so now we're kind of in line. So I like that little bit right there in the front. I think that's kind of neat just as it is. But obviously I don't want to have these big empty gaps. So I'm just going to keep tweaking until it looks good. Let's go back and we're going to color in just a little bit more here, because those gaps are just not doing it for me. Keep in mind that your hair textures are technically two parts. Each side is one side of a hair, essentially. You can adjust this within your sliders, but that's the general concept, is that they are two halves of a whole, and two halves make up one hair. So I'm keeping this kind of in the middle, as you can see, because that's going to be the visible part for where I'm working. And in my traditional fashion, I don't care so much about the back of this crown, because no one's going to see it. I care more about the front. So that's kind of the general idea, is to have a nice full front and make it your own. I'm going to offset a little bit here. Let's see. So you can change the positions, the offsets. Once again, I'm just trying to fill in the front, make it look interesting. And once I get this kind of looking the way I want, that's really good actually. That's exactly what I was trying to aim for here this whole time. So that's one way to do it, and gives you kind of a classical look to that crown. You could also draw in individual little flowers. So I've just got this other texture I just threw together real quick, and I didn't use any external programs. I just started from scratch, drew a bunch of little X's essentially in yellow, and put some little white dots in the middle. If you are more talented than I when it comes to drawing directly in VRoid, feel free to make some beautiful flowers. I'm just using my mouse and doing the best I can within VRoid. I could do this in Photoshop, but I really wanted to keep this whole tutorial within VRoid for you. So, as always, I hope that's helpful. If it is, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down, and I will catch you all next time. See ya!